Good afternoon, children. Yes, in the last class, until the topic fertilization and implantation, we were discussed, right? So let us recall little bit about those things. Then after we will continue the today topic, the pregnancy and the embryonic development. Yeah, I hope you can remember the last topic, the fertilization. It is a fusion of haploid sperm and ovum to form a diploid zygote, isn't it? Then after that, I'll also explain the sex determination of the child. So after that, we were discussed about the implantation. What is implantation? The attachment of the blastocyst to the endometrium wall of the uterus is called implantation, isn't it? So after that one, what will happen? Okay, so that means whenever the implantation happens, so and it leads to the pregnancy. Okay, so then what will happen? Let us discuss the next topics, the pregnancy and embryonic development. Okay, yes. What is pregnancy? See, as we were discussed in the last class, after the implantation, the finger-like projections appears on the trophoblast called, that is, chronic villi, which are surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. Remember what happens after the implantation? After the implantation, the finger-like projections appears on the trophoblast called chronic villi, appears on the trophoblast. Okay, where it will appears? Which is appears on the trophoblast called chronic villi. Then which are surrounded by the, where it is surrounded? It is surrounded by uterine tissue and maternal blood. You can identify here the structure which is given in the right side as well as the left side. The left side, the complete structure which is given. How exactly it will be in the beginning? The placenta you can identify, then the structure. Okay, so that structure, yolk-like structure, that is, yes, which is nothing but the nourishment, which provide the nourishment to the growing embryo. Then amniotic fluid, uterus. Then you can also identify the chorion. You can also identify the umbilical cord. Also amnion, umbilical veins. The formation you can identify. So it is given in the red color. Then umbilical arteries, it is indicated by the blue. Then the placenta, uterus, and the supply of the, that is, maternal blood also you can identify. The chronic villi, uterine artery and veins, isn't it? So this is the structure in large. They are also given the right side. I hope you can identify. Yes, yeah. So here, as I said, what will happen the next? The chronic villi and uterine tissue becomes, that is, interdigitate. Interdigitate means they are associated each other. What are those things? The chronic villi and uterine tissue becomes interdigitate, or we can also say interdigiated with each other and jointly for the structural and functional unit between the developing embryo, that is, we can call the fetus, and the maternal body is called placenta. Okay, so here how exactly the formation of the placenta will be happens, isn't it? If you ask the one mark question, in examinations and all, in tests and all, we will ask the question, what is placenta or define placenta? Then you should write the one line answer. The placenta, it's an organic connection between maternal tissue and the growing fetus, through which physiological exchanges are taking place. Or one line statement, you can also say the placenta is a structural and functional unit between growing embryo or the fetus and maternal body. Okay, so the right side, whatever they are given in the form of the yellow, the indication line. There's an arrow mark you can identify. Yes. Yeah. So now the question arises, what is actually the placenta, how it will be connected? The placenta is connected to the embryo by an umbilical cord. It transports substances to and from the embryo. Okay, here the diagram in detail 1, the right side they were given the placenta and umbilical veins, yes, umbilical arteries, how the exchange of that means oxygen, nutrients and hormones delivered to the baby, then the removal of the waste, which waste and carbon dioxide delivered from the baby. So there is an exchange of the gases. Okay, yes. And here the question arises, in exams also they will ask, what are the functions of placenta? Yes. Then you should write the answer. Actually, the placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo and also removal of the carbon dioxide and excretory materials produced by the embryo. Okay. So if you see this, the short form, we can also write like this. So because sometimes it will be asked for 2 marks also, 3 marks also. Then if you write like this, which is given in the slide, then you will get the complete marks. That means the placenta acts as a barrier between the growing fetus and mother. Then the supply of oxygen, nutrients, etc. from mother to the fetus. Then the removal of carbon dioxide and excretory waste from fetus. And also remember how it is get connected. See that placenta is connected to the embryo through an umbilical cord, which helps in the transport of substances to and from the embryo. Remember how it will be get connected means you should write this statement. Then it is also acts as a, so that means placenta also acts as an endocrine gland. Remember, sometimes they will ask the question, the placenta is also acts as endocrine gland. Justify this statement. Like that they will ask. Then you should write, yes, the placenta is also acts as an endocrine gland because it secretes or it produces several hormones like human chronic gonadotropin. That is, in generally we can also short form, it is also known as HCG, and human placental lactogen, that is HPL. Okay, so which induces the lactations. Then estrogen along with, yes, progesterone. And there is another important hormone, relaxin is also. Remember, in the later stage of that is pregnancy, the name of the hormone, as I said, the relaxin. Relaxin is very important because it's also secreted by the ovary. Increased production of these hormones will support the fetal growth, metabolic changes in the mother, and which is also maintains the pregnancy. Okay, yes. And here that's why the relaxin is also which plays very important role during that is pregnancy. I hope you can identify the left side diagram also, the placenta, yes, how it will be get connected, yes, the mother blood and the villi. So during the pregnancy, actually what happens? As I said, that during the pregnancy, the estrogens, progesterones, and also cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, etc. They are also increased in the maternal blood. Okay, and remember, so these are actually they will identify the pregnancy test. Okay, by using the STAT method, and they support generally the fetal growth, metabolic changes in the mother, and maintains the pregnancy. Okay, so this is how this is actually the phenomena or the principle behind how they will test the pregnancy by using the STAT method. Okay, yes. And so if you uh, start the learning about the embryonic development, let me to explain the step-by-step mechanism. Okay, the first one, how it will be, the process will begin. The embryonic development begins. So, as you know very well that during embryogenesis, so the immediately after the implantation, the inner cell mass, that embryo differentiates into an outer layer called ectoderm and inner layer called then that is endoderm with the mesoderm. Last year we were studied there are three germ layers, isn't it? What are those one? Outer ectoderm, inner endoderm, then middle mesoderm, isn't it? Yeah. So these three layers give rise to all tissues and organs in adults. Remember, okay? So these three layers which gives rise to the all tissues and organs in adults. Okay. If you ask exactly, sir, what are those will be, how it will be, so let me to explain. Note down this one, because as I said, the primary germ layers are they are the derivatives. As I said, ectoderm. Ectoderm generally gives rise to the epidermis of the skin. Epidermal derivatives like glands, hairs, nails, nervous systems, eyes, salivary glands, and also lacrimal glands. It is actually derived from ectoderm. Okay. Then what about the other one? The mesoderm, the middle layer. That is a middle layer. This middle, that means meso means middle. Okay, between, which gives rise to the dermis of the skin, kidneys, gonads, heart, blood, blood vessels, cartilage, bone, adrenal glands, notochords. So these are all will be derivatives. They are the derivatives of the mesoderm. And as I said, the endoderm is the inner layer. It gives rise to the liver, pancreas, anterior lobe of pituitary, and also thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, thymus glands, lining of trachea, bronchioid, lungs, middle ear, and urinary bladder. Okay, so this is very important while we're studying for the competitive also. So that's why I told all these things. Okay, yeah. And so as I said, the certain cells present in the inner cell mass are called stem cells. You must have heard about the recently the technology. Stem cells therapy is the recent technology they are using to regenerate the damaged tissues. Okay, yeah. So which have the potency to give rise to all the types of the tissues and organs. That's why nowadays we are using this technology to regenerate whatever the structures or organs may be get destroyed, or sometimes it may be get damaged. Yes. And the human pregnancy lasts for 9 months. Generally it is also known as gestation period. Okay, so that gestation period, the human pregnancy lasts for 9 months. If you take an example of cats, it is about 2 months. If you take an example of dogs also, the gestation period is 2 months. And the largest, or we can also say the longest period of the gestation which can be identified in elephants, that's about 21 months. Okay, you just imagine how long it will be, isn't it? Yeah. And if you see the changes in the embryo or embryogenesis, or we can also say embryonic development, the changes in embryo during the pregnancy, or we can also say the changes during embryonic development, how it will be. So based on this one, there are a number of times they were asked a few questions in the competitive also. So that's why let me to tell you in detailing that after 1 month, okay, how we will identify. Generally, after the 1 month of the pregnancy, the embryo's heart is formed. Okay, the first sign of growing fetus may be noticed by listening to the heart sound carefully through the stethoscope. Okay, so this is very amazing actually. So after the 1 month only, yeah, the embryo's heart is formed. Then by the end of 2nd month of the pregnancy, Okay, the fetus develops limbs and digits. So this is very wonderful, the mechanism. Yes. And also, by the end of, that is 3 months, or we can also say 12 weeks of first trimester, most of the major organ systems are formed. Okay, the right side they were given the diagrams, just observe carefully. Isn't it? Yes. So then after the first movement of the fetus appears. Okay, so the first movement generally it appears on hairs and head are usually observed during the 5th month. Okay, so that is during the 5th month, the first movement of the fetus and appearance of the hairs on the head. Until then, the baby or the growing fetus will not show any type of movements. Okay, the first movement when it will be identified during the 5th month. Okay, then, and what about next? What about the next? By the end of 24 weeks, or we can also say second trimester, the body is covered with the fine hair, eyelids separates. Until then, the eyelids is not get separated. Okay, by the end of the second trimester only we can see this one. Then eyelashes are also formed. Then by the end of the 9 months of the pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and it is ready for delivery. Okay, so these are all the the changes, or we can also say the embryonic developmental stages we can identify during pregnancy. Observe this neatly, the step-by-step mechanism. Yes, beginning from the first month, second month, third month, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth and ninth. By the end of the 9 months of the pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and it is ready for the delivery. Yes. And what will happen next? Yes, that is parturition. The parturition. What is the meaning of the parturition? Yes, the parturition is also known as, generally we use the terminology labor. The average, I told you in the beginning also, the average duration of human pregnancy is about 9 months, which is called gestation period, isn't it? Then the process, okay, the process of giving birth to the young ones, that is nothing but viviparity, isn't it? Yes. What will happen? Yeah, after the, as I said, the end of the 9 months of the pregnancy, the vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of the pregnancy causes expulsion or delivery of the fetus. So this is commonly known as the childbirth, or we can also call parturition. Let me to repeat once again, what is parturition? Yes, after the complete of the gestation period, the vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of the pregnancy causes expulsion or delivery of the fetus is called parturition. And remember, so this process is purely, that means the parturition is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. Yes, you know what is the difference between endocrine and exocrine, right? Endo means what it will secrete? It will secrete directly into the bloodstream, isn't it? That is endocrine. Exo means due to, through the ducts. If it will secrete, then it will be exo. So in the earlier classes I told you. I hope you can remember. Then the signals for the parturition, actually it originates from the fully developed fetus and the placenta, which induces mild uterine contraction called fetal ejection reflex. I told you earlier, and while we are discussing in the last year also, how it will be. isn't it? It is just like interconnection, isn't it? Interconnection, interdependent, interrelated each other, isn't it? Then only, okay, this triggers the releasing of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary, isn't it? Yeah. So that means the number of cases you must have heard about. If the, generally in natural parturition takes place, surely there will be milk secretion, isn't it? That's what we will discuss later. Sometimes in the number of cases if they undergo cesarean, there may be problem of lactation. Why? If it will be goes through the cesarean, there will be no natural secretion. Okay, so then when there will be no natural secretion of these are all the hormones, there will be no signals from fetus to the placenta. So then there will be no fetal ejection reflex, and so this is how exactly the process completely get disturbs. Okay, and the oxytocin acts in the uterine muscles and causes a stronger uterine contraction, which in turn stimulate the further secretion of the oxytocin. Yes. So how exactly? Yeah. So this is actually, it acts as a stimulus, isn't it? Yes. Then only there will be a response. So this stimulatory reflex continues, resulting in stronger and stronger contraction. This leads to the expulsion of the baby out of the uterus through the birth canal, which results in the parturition, isn't it? Yeah. So then only almost all the the remaining hormones secretions will be goes on naturally, isn't it? Soon after the delivery, and the placenta is also expelled out of the uterus. You can identify the left side whatever they have given in the diagrams. What happens next? After the parturition, the umbilical cord is cut off. Then the placenta of remnants of umbilical cord are expelled from the maternal body after parturition. It is also called afterbirth. So afterbirth can be seen in generally fat-chewing animals or remnants. Okay, not in humans. Okay, in humans after the parturition, the umbilical cord is cut off. Yes. So this is how exactly the left side they have given the live structure. Yes. So then the last topic, actually what will happen the next after the parturition, there will be if there will be a natural process, surely there will be lactation. Yes. Then the question arises, what is lactation? The mammary glands undergo differentiation during pregnancy and start producing milk towards the end of the pregnancy. By the process is called lactation. In the beginning only I told you, due to the presence of mammary glands only, generally we are considered as mammals, isn't it? When these mammary glands will become active, yes, the mammary glands undergo differentiation during pregnancy and start producing milk towards the end of the pregnancy by the process called lactation. And here the yellowish milk produced during the initial few days of the lactation, this is also called colostrum. Remember, so this helps the mother in feeding the newborn child. That's what I said. If there will be no natural parturition, so there will be no further signaling. So that's why generally they uses, okay, so that is hormones artificially to stimulate the lactation. Okay, so then how this will, the colostrum will help to the babies. Yes, the milk produced during the initial few days of the lactation is called colostrum. This is generally found in yellow in color. Yes, it contains several antibodies. Absolutely, it is essential to develop a resistance against diseases for the newborn baby. You must have heard about if they are generally the babies are fed by their mothers comparatively to the non-feeding babies. They will be having more instance power than the, uh, if they are not given, sometimes due to different problems. Sometimes it may be different reasons, but if the mother milk feeded babies comparatively to the, generally, if they are non-mothers, that means they may be provided the milk by animals, cow or buffaloes like that. So comparatively to the mother milk feeded babies are having more resistance power. So that is the reason behind all these things. Yes. So this is how exactly the parturition and lactation can be seen in the humans. So from the beginning of this chapter, so we have discussed a number of things. We were discussed about from the beginning what we were discussed in this the chapter. We were discussed about the structure of the male reproductive system. Then also we were discussed about the structure of the sperm. Then we were also discussed about the structure of the seminiferous tubule, and also we were discussed about the female reproductive system. Then after that, what we were discussed? Yes, we were discussed about the mammary glands, gametogenesis. So that includes the two types. There is nothing but spermatogenesis and oogenesis. And also we were discussed about the structure of the sperm, the whole process, the mechanism, and also we were discussed about the what we were discussed, the menstrual cycle, and also we were discussed about the fertilization and implantation. And this class we were completed the topic, the pregnancy and parturition, isn't it? Yeah. So this is all about the third chapter, that's human reproduction. I hope maximum students they may be understood. If you're having still any doubts, please message me or write to me my inbox. Let me to clarify if you are having any still doubts. Okay. So thank you. That is the end of the third chapter. Then next class we will continue with respect to the competitive. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Have a nice day.